Hi everybody, I'm just setting up here and then we'll see how things go, testing audio, testing video, all that good stuff. And then I'll explain why I'm doing this and what I'm doing. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. It's 1 o'clock according to my time. Um, this is a little bit new for me, so it probably won't go super smooth. And there's also a little bit of a delay. It's kind of weird. I'm working in an app called Streamlabs so that I can use different cameras and manage the sound and everything. Um, and so I'm doing what I'm doing here, and then I can see on YouTube there's about a, I don't know, maybe a 10 to 30-second delay on YouTube Live. But so it'll take me some time to respond. I can see comments here, so I'll try to do everything at the same time, and we'll see how it goes. All right. The reason that I'm doing this is just to kind of create a different experience since we're on home learning. And this week, during for the art assignment, when I had students turn in assignments, I also had you guys submit ideas for things that you wanted me to draw to kind of interact. And I just was looking for ideas, and I figured I could share some of my sketching process with you guys. Um, so I only got a few suggestions, and so I'll probably be able to do all of them today. And hopefully it will just have a little fun. And if you're watching this because it's recorded, if you weren't here for the live stream, that's okay. I'm putting this up on my YouTube channel, and it'll sit there after Thursday or after today. Sorry. So with that being said, let's get started. For those of you that are interested in the technical things, this camera right here that you're looking at, my paper, that's my cell phone actually. And I have it set up so that it's streaming to a browser on the internet. And then I'm using my webcam so that you can see me too at the same time. So hi out there, students, fellow teachers, and just other people. Thank you for being here. All right, we're going to get started with a fresh piece of paper. And my first suggestion was Christopher said that he'd love to see me draw a line. And so that's pretty simple. I'm actually going to draw a few different lines. And if you remember from art class, my tagline is lines make shapes and shapes make pictures. So I'll be drawing all sorts of lines to create some of the drawings that we're doing here. Um, so my first line is going to be just kind of going across the straight, kind of what most people think of when they think of a line, right? And then I'm going to do a squiggly line on top of that. Now, this project that we were doing this week was to do a found object color wheel. And I noticed, Christopher, when you did your color wheel, after that, you took your found objects and you turned them into a snake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my wiggly line into a snake as well. I'm going to, whoops, pencil broke, get another one. I'm going to take another wiggly line and I'm going to put it above this one. They're parallel. I'm not going to have it cross. It's just going to kind of go along the same. And then I'm going to come right up here. And notice I kind of connected them down here to make them pointy. And I'm going to make it kind of round on the end. All right, so kind of like this. There's a little bump in the table there. And then I'm going to kind of create, connect it there. And then I'm going to put a little line right here like this. That's the snake's mouth. I know it's kind of hard to see, but that's right there. And then we'll do this tongue. So we'll draw a little kind of curved line coming out of here like this. And draw two, kind of like a upside down V or an arrow, like this for the snake's tongue. Then let's give it some eyes, just to kind of be funny. We'll put the eyes on top of the head instead of the side like most snakes. So we'll give it some eyes on top of its head like this, two little bumpy lines, and two little circles in there, and maybe some eyebrows. I can probably, in my software, I can kind of zoom in a little bit. Oops, well, maybe I can't. A little bit. All right, I'll have to make sure I can draw bigger so you guys can see better. And then I'm going to create a pattern on the back of my snake. Kind of keep it nice and simple. So Christopher, when I drew my lines, I used different types of lines to create this snake, right? I have this straight line, which is the ground. I have these curved lines, which kind of make the snake's body, and the zigzag line on the back of the snake for the snake's back. Okay? All right, well, since I have space down here, I'm going to do the next drawing down here. Thailand asked if I could draw a soccer ball. So I got to tell you guys something, and that is I am not very good at drawing things just straight out of my head. I'm not the best at remembering things or remembering what things look like. And I can do some visualizing, but and some artists are really good. Like they can kind of have that photographic memory and they'll draw pictures just without even almost like it almost doesn't look like they're thinking about it because they kind of see it in their brains. I'm not one of those kinds of artists. Everyone thinks a little bit differently, and I'm one of the kind of artists that needs to see a picture in order to draw one. And it took me a lot of practice to get better at drawing things, but I printed off some things on a piece of paper, so I had a reference image. So full disclosure, I'm actually looking at something in order to draw the next two. So we're going to draw Thailand's soccer ball. I'm going to start with a circle. And when I do things that are a little bit more challenging, I start by sketching light lines. And I know a lot of you in class have heard me say that. When you start out, you want to draw light and then get darker as you go, because when you're drawing lighter, it's easier to erase it and it's easier to fix those lines if you make a mistake or if it's not exactly the way you want it. So I'm kind of drawing it lighter. You can see my snake line was darker. I was a little more confident there. Okay, so I'm going to sketch out my soccer ball and the round outside shape of it, right? And I notice it's close. This side's a little bumpier, so I'm just gonna go over it. And the more I go over the part that I think is right, the darker that line gets when my pencil keeps on going over it and over it again and again. And then once I have it about where I want it, then I will make it a little bit darker. And when we're just practice drawing or sketching, it's okay for your lines to look a little bit sloppy or sketchy like this. If you look in an artist's sketchbook, even especially illustrators, people that illustrate books or illustrate um, concept art for video games or movies, um, they they have very sketchy and rough looking lines in their sketchbooks. All right. There's my circle for my soccer ball. And I'll show you here again. Soccer balls are kind of interesting because you've got this shape right here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. That's a pentagon. But then the white ones are actually hexagons. So you've got two types of geometric shapes. You've got the black ones are pentagons that has 5 sides. And then the white ones are hexagons with 6 sides. So we're going to start with a pentagon right here. And you know what, I'm going to go sketchy again. And the tricky thing is when you're just kind of drawing by eye, your angles and your lines, you're trying to make your lines about the same, but you're also trying to make your angles about the same too. And so sometimes when you're trying to draw even like this, it'll look a little lopsided and you need to go back and fix. Like I was trying to draw that, and then I realized it needs to come this way a little bit more if I want it to be even. And that's okay. Guys, I know in my class we make plenty of mistakes, and we just as we practice drawing and as we have more experience, we kind of discover different ways that we can fix things. So there's it's not perfect, but it's pretty close. So I'm going to draw a hexagon coming off of this side. See, that's 6 sides, right? 1, 2, and I'm kind of looking at this picture because you realize a soccer ball is round, and so the ones on the edge are going to kind of look a little bit shifted and thinner. And so you're kind of creating that illusion that the ball is curved. All right, and so this one's turned out, this one's a little bit bigger, and I'm going to bring it in just a teeny bit. So this line right here is off. I'm going to leave it for just a second, and maybe I'll fix it later. what I found is sometimes instead of getting stuck and frustrated and erasing everything right away, I'm just going to keep on going. And then when I redraw it and have the line that I want better, then I can go back and erase the one that was kind of a mistake. Okay. And it looks like, so I'm going to just gently shade this for a second. I'll color it in more later. This one is my black pentagon on my soccer ball. So now on a soccer ball, the other shapes surrounding it are white. So it's like the black one's an island and the white one's the ocean. So I'm going to draw another pentagon with 6 sides right here. Kind of comes up like this. See, that one's off again. So I'm going to come back and go this way. There we go. And that line, I'm going to fix that now that I have my other lines. And then I'm going to come in over on this side and do this one. See, that's 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my angle is a little bit off, so I'm going to go fix that because I need to have a black pentagon up there, and it needs to kind of look like that's a little pointier in that corner. And if you want to draw a soccer ball and you're not the changing the shapes confuses you a little bit, it's okay to just try to make it flat and make all your shapes even. That might be a little bit easier. So I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit. I'm kind of only planning on being on here for about 20 minutes, give or take, so we'll see how this goes. Okay, so this one's going to be a black one, and then we're going to alternate, so black and white on the edge. So this one's going to be a white one, so here's a black one. There's a white one. So this one up here is going to be black. That's going to be a white one. And this one down here is going to be a black one. I've drawn soccer balls once or twice before, but I don't pay attention to them very much. So I think this is actually the nicest the soccer ball has turned out for me when I've tried to draw one. In the past, I've tried to draw them in my head, and I wasn't really paying attention to the different shapes. Okay. So once again, this is just a sketch. Sketches, when artists do sketches, they don't always complete them or make them nice, finished, final drawings. Sometimes they just want to see an idea, and they draw it out in a sketchbook, and they might redraw it a few different times. But it's more of having an idea to remember it or to show it to somebody else. It doesn't always have to be something that's finished. Okay, so there's your soccer ball. And then I have one more that I'm going to do today. All right. Let's see. This one's going to be a little trickier. Soraya suggested that I should draw anime. And that could be pretty broad because there is a lot of different types of anime out there, a lot of different shows or different anime characters, and it's been around a while, and I'm not super familiar with it, but it is an art form that I know a lot of people enjoy. So I actually kind of went back in time a little bit and picked, since Soraya, you weren't very specific, I just picked something that I was a little bit more familiar with. I hope that's okay. When I was younger, my sister watched a lot of um, anime movies by an artist named Hayao Miyazaki. And if you guys remember, he was one of our featured artists last year. He has a studio called Studio Ghibli, and they create movies. Some of their movies were pretty popular. Spirited Away is probably one of the most famous ones, My Neighbor Totoro. And today I decided to pick a little bit from a movie called Castles in the Sky. And so I have my reference image here. I have these two characters, and this is terrible, but I don't remember their names. But they're flying in this kind of dragonfly type machine, and they're this young lady here is the princess or the protagonist of the movie, and she discovers she's a princess of a hidden kingdom that has some magical powers, and so there's a big adventure surrounding that whole thing. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and draw at least not the whole picture, but probably this portion right here. Okay. So once again, if you want to check out that movie, it's called Castles in the Sky. Um, I enjoyed that one very much. I don't watch a lot, but that was one I enjoyed. So here we go. Let's see. I'm going to start with the girl's head because she's kind of the main focus of this. And then if I have enough time, I'll probably draw the dragonfly plane thing that they're in. And then if I have enough time, I'll draw the guy that's behind her. Okay. So I'm going to try this a little bit bigger, hopefully, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see. So I'm going to start out. People are kind of hard, right? And when you're drawing, I know anime is a very specific style, and I might not approach it the same as other artists do. But adjust the camera here just a little bit. All right. But I'm going to kind of take this drawing approach that I normally take for most drawings that I do, which is to start out with the shapes, because lines make shapes make pictures, and sometimes you need to find the shape underneath everything else. So I'm going to sketch out kind of a round shape for her head. Her head is a little bit tilted. Her chin is not like pointed, but a little bit. And when you look at that, even though her hair is there, you're kind of wanting to find that whole head shape underneath her hair. So that's what I'm going to do. We can put the hair on top a little bit later. Okay, so something kind of like that. You noticed I have some extra lines going on here. I'm drawing really light, and I'll make them darker as I kind of figure out where I want them. Okay, I'm going to draw. Some artists do that line kind of here to mark where the center of the face is, where the nose is, because sometimes when her head is pointed to the side, you notice that one eye is going to look, at least from a perspective, a little bit bigger than the other. And the nice thing about animation, especially this style of animation, is that the outlines are already there for you. They're just kind of like line drawings. So I'm going to make the chin a little bit darker. Her mouth is kind of like an oval shape with a point on one end. So I'm going to kind of draw it like this. You can kind of see a curved line on top, coming down and then pointy right about there. And then just a little line underneath for the chin. There in this scene, there's some expression on her face because she's being chased, right? She's in a ship, flying dragonfly type ship, and they're being chased by a larger airship. The evil villains are chasing them, so she's going to be a little bit anxious looking in her, especially in the mouth and the eyes. You see that kind of expression. So now the eyes, I'm going to draw the top curved line for the eye, a little bit of a dark spot right there. Fill that in. I don't know, that might be a little bit bigger than I wanted to, but that's okay. And an eyebrow right here, eyebrow right here. I'm just going to mark them right now. I might make them a little bit darker or adjust them later. Okay, do that. I'm going to put our hair on now, and I'm looking for the line where the edge of the hair rests on the forehead. Sometimes we're tempted to draw hair by drawing individual lines with our pencil, but I try to think of the hair, especially when it comes to cartoons, as a shape. So I'm finding the edge of the hair, and I'm going to outline that first before I do anything else. So then I have an ear right here, and the hair kind of comes around and makes the shape for the ear. So I'm going to do that. And as I'm doing that, I realized I might just kind of narrow out the back of the head. This part right here is kind of covered by the edge of the the plane that she's in. So I'm going to kind of mark that. And then I realized my proportions are a little bit off because her head was tilted. Her ear is actually right near the edge of this plane thingy, but in my picture I have that ear a little too high. And I'm going to fix it a little bit, but I don't think I can fix it completely, and that's okay. I think her head is tilted, her eye is actually a little bit lower. And I realized that mistake. I should have kind of planned it out earlier, but that's okay. Once again, this is kind of one of the reasons why artists do practice sketches, because they will realize, oh, there's things I need to fix. And it's easier to know where those spots are if you're just kind of doing a drawing that doesn't necessarily count as your final. All right, and then she has some hair kind of coming up off the top like this. So I'm going to try to follow the rest of the outline. It's kind of hard to see where it is, but I think it kind of comes up this way, like this. And then I'm going to curve around the back of her head, and then she has some braids that come out like this. I'm just kind of sketch the shapes lightly. I see kind of like sections, like round shaped sections, and another one kind of comes off this way. So I'm going to just break it down, kind of like oval shapes, to make each section of braid. And then eventually there's like a hair tie type band. So another smaller round shape for that. And then this like little puff on the end, right, the end of her hair. And it's kind of like an oval shape with pointy bits on the end. Sometimes when we draw, we're tempted to draw all the little details, but it does help to have some sort of shape before you start drawing the details so that you know where things go. Okay? So she's behind the wheel here on this ship. I'm just going to kind of draw the very, very rough shape of these parts of this plane or this dragonfly flying ship. Okay, right here. Okay. And all right, I'm going to shade in sections of hair now. She kind of has this hairband that's partially covered up because part of the hair is supposed to be moving around, but I'll shade in this part of the hair, and hopefully you can kind of see some of that detail a little bit better. And once again, I'm just kind of showing you guys a style of drawing that comes natural to me. I know many of you out there have a different approach to drawing, and that doesn't mean that you have to change it um, to make it like mine. I hope that as you grow as an artist, you find a mode of drawing that's comfortable for you, and I'm sure that we can learn bits and pieces from each other. But some people prefer to be more direct with their lines, and the sketching stuff kind of stresses them out, and I understand that. Some people are even more sketchy than I am, and that's okay too. All right, so there she is flying her airplane, dragonfly plane. There's the edges of that. I think I'm just gonna leave her and not draw the rest because I'm running out of time. And I'm thinking about possibly doing something like this again in the future. So if you guys out there have more requests or things you'd like to see me draw, um, you're welcome to contact me and suggest that, especially students, if you're turning in your assignments and you want to throw in a little comment that says, hey, Mr. A, I want you to draw a picture of LeBron James. I'll give it a shot, maybe. Um, and I've also thought about using a live stream like this to show you guys how to use some other types of art supplies, but more about that in the future. All right, so I was just kind of drawing some rough lines to add some shadow in this picture. One side of the ship is lighter, one side of this is lighter, one side is darker. And I'm not going to talk too much about shading, but usually that's caused by light, right? Your light source, especially the sun, will shine on one side of an object, and then the other side has some darkness or some shadow to it. And that kind of is one of the biggest things that helps something look 3D. All right. So anyway, that is pretty much all I have for today. I noticed that in drawing this and also other anime characters, that anime has changed quite a bit over the past few years. Um, this character looks a little bit different than a character from a more current series, but I might revisit that if there's students that are interested in that kind of thing. Okay, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this, and feel free to give me some feedback through whatever way you know how to get in touch with me. Students, you are able to get a hold of me through Schoology. You can send me messages. You can put comments on the assignments when you upload them. If you have figured out how to open those Google Docs, then you can put comments in there, or you can email me. Once again, that's daniel@thomasgregg.org. I can put it right up here. So I have taken assignments from students by all of those methods, and so please feel free to use whatever works the best for you. I know that with this home learning thing, things have been kind of challenging, and working with the technology and trying to use the computer, and that hasn't always been smooth, and that's okay. I'm glad that you guys are you were able to find me. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me so that I can help you with the art task. I'll probably do some more art challenges over summer break too, so stay tuned on that. If you are not a TGNS student, thank you for joining me. You are more than welcome anytime I post videos or live streams up here. So I appreciate the support. You're welcome to give feedback or comment to me as well. Thank you guys for joining me, and have a great day.